We live in the aftermath of the era of privatization, the era of a shrinking state and growing private sector, the era of major corporate power. The decisions that define societies are increasingly made behind closed doors by capitalist elites. People who are not elected. People who are not accountable to the public. Increasingly we see extremely influential decisions made without public input. Capitalist elites make increasingly influential decisions. The average person has less and less influence over the decisions that will change society massively. This is a very undemocratic state of affairs. Capitalism has made our society increasingly autocratic. People have less and less influence over the decisions that define society. Increasingly, these decisions are outsourced. They are not made by governments, they are made by capitalist elites. There is no accountability and no public input. Of course, some will argue that capitalists are accountable to the will of the people. They can vote with their wallet. Of course, this is just a fantasy. Consumer decisions are constrained to a significant degree by convenience, affordability, limited options, and much more. Capitalists are not accountable in the same ways that governments are accountable. That is just not how the market functions. People engage with the market far too much for every interaction to take the form of a considered vote. Voters hardly manage to be informed once every 4 years. They are hardly going to make multiple informed votes every day. And consumer choices are based more on convenience and pragmatism than considered analysis of the company involved. And they probably always will be, because this is just how people engage with markets. Capitalists are not accountable in the same way that governments are accountable. The alternatives are very limited. People are less informed. People don't perceive spending in the same way as voting. The existence of the product creates a barrier between the person and the company. If when voting you had to vote by choosing a product put forward by a candidate, the democratic system would be entirely dysfunctional, as the product would distort your assessment of the candidate. Elections would not work if you had to vote for one candidate by eating a cheeseburger and another by drinking a Coke. The product itself distorts the vote as it becomes the immediate focus of attention as opposed to the company that produced it. Markets are not democratic. People do not vote with their wallets. Increasingly significant decisions are made by unelected and unaccountable capitalist elites. Just look at the big decisions being made regarding big tech and new technology. Society-defining decisions are made by unelected and unaccountable capitalists. And people did not vote for them or their decisions. They simply went ahead and made society-defining decisions hoping that it would increase revenue. This is totally undemocratic. The capitalist system is making our society increasingly undemocratic as unelected capitalists make increasingly significant decisions. Complaining is easy, but what is the solution? The solution is democratic workplaces. The solution is democratically managed companies. If businesses were democratically managed by their workers, this would not be such an issue. Capitalists would not be unelected and unaccountable. They would be elected by ordinary people, and they would be accountable to ordinary people. We need to democratize the economy. We have a government by and for the people. We need an economy by and for the workers. Only then will ordinary people have a say in the increasingly influential decisions that are made by the private sector. If we value democracy, workplace democracy is a necessity. A market system of miniature democracies. That is what we need. The first step towards this righteous society is simple incentives. preferential contracts, tax cuts, low-interest loans. The government should establish these things as financial incentives to encourage and empower worker-owned and controlled businesses. Working people are increasingly powerless. They are at the mercy of the rich and the wealthy. This is not good enough. This can change and should change. We need democratic workplaces. Technological advancement should not serve to enrich the few. Technological advancement should serve the people. If workers have greater control, it can. We must give ordinary people greater power. Only then will their interests be realized. Increasingly, the decisions that define societies are made behind closed doors by capitalist elites. We must give workers control over business if we want to continue to have a democratic society. Technological advancement and economic development will only serve workers if workers get to make the decisions. We do not exist to serve the economy. The economy exists to serve us. That fact will be embodied only when economic decisions are made by working people. We need an economy by and for the workers. The people do not exist to serve the economy. The economy exists to serve the people. A democratic economy will make this great maxim a reality.